Buon pomeriggio a tutti e bentornati in questa terza giornata, la prima giornata aperta al pubblico della conferenza APRE. Ringrazio Caterina Buonocore che vi ha già introdotto l'APRE brief di pochi minuti fa al problema più grande dei partenariati, e quindi adesso continueremo a parlare di partenariati europei, solo che lo faremo insieme a un gruppo di graditi ospiti e che adesso chiamerò, e poiché all'interno di questo parterre di ospiti abbiamo un ospite straniero, una persona dalla Commissione, e switcheremo sulla lingua inglese. So, welcome to this APRE space dedicated to partnerships. I want to introduce now the speakers that will be with us for this about 1 hour time to discuss about the partnerships. I would like to introduce Fabienne Gautier, Head of Unit Common Mission and Partnerships of the DG RTD of the European Commission. Fabienne, are you with us? Yes, Fabienne is there.
Yes, I'm with you.
Thanks. And I'm going to introduce the other one, Rachele Nocera, from the Director General of Internationalization and Communication of the MORE stands for Ministry of University and Research. Ciao, Rachele.
Hi, welcome.
We have Carlo Esposito, from another ministry, and in particular from the Directorate General for Enabling Technology and Policies for the Control of Foreign Investment from MIMIT, and MIMIT, just for Fabienne, stands for Ministry of Industry and Made in Italy. And
good afternoon to everybody.
Yeah. Okay, you are here. Yes, and now I can see you. And we have another two important, at least for my feelings, voices in the discussion that came from industry. We have, starting from Cosimo Musca, from Italy Public Affairs Program Director of S.p.A Microelectronics. And okay, Cosimo is there. I saw you. And finally, usual. Last but not least, Lorenzo Zito from the Department of Institutional Relations from the Brussels office of Leonardo S.p.A. So two of the important industries.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the invitation, Marco, and your hostess.
Good afternoon to all.
So everybody is here, so we can start from my side. Just a few introduction to the discussion. What to say? Personally, I love partnerships in Horizon and the former in the FP7 and Horizon 2020. Before to be in APRE, I was involved in several partnerships as from the research point of view in my previous life, and I have a really a positive and great thinking about partnerships in general, and in particular from the institutionalized, where I was more involved. I have been involved in my experience in what we call today institutionalized partnerships and co-programming partnerships, less involved in the co-financed partnerships. But what to say is clearly that when we start to speak at the beginning about partnerships in the past, was 2010, 2008, when we start to discuss about that. And a lot of things has been done since the time. And in particular, not was exactly as it was today. And that's normal, because anytime we start with new tools, we have to, let's say, learn. Is not necessarily a single shot process where you immediately can get the best from what you put on the table. What is relevant in any case is that, at least to my personal opinion, is that partnerships, I'm referring to the broad partnerships family, so not only to the institutionalized, but to the all partnerships, have done a lot of improvements during these last more than 20 years. Now, I come back to the first round of discussion. I would like to have a short reply, because this will allow us to have at least 2 or 3 rounds of discussion between us. I will start clearly from Fabienne. Fabienne, and thanks again to have a Commission voice during this discussion today. And I would like to start from the beginning. The beginning for me is not what happened 20 years ago, but what happens in particular from the passage from the Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe and today, our today's situation. The first question to you, but is similar to the one that I would address to the other colleagues, is Fabienne, where we are, what happened recently. We know that many things has been done in the passage in the past from the Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe, but also with the new preparation of the new final programming phase of Horizon 2020 that will deal with the last 3 years of program from 2025 up to 2027. Other things happen in the scenario of European partnerships. So please, can you give your flash situation of where we are and where we are going on in the last 3 years of a program?
Thank you, Mr. Falzetti, and thanks a lot for the invitation to attend the conference today. I would also like to thank the other speakers and the audience also for attending. Yes, as you said, Mr. Falzetti, a lot has been happening in the past years, and under Horizon Europe on partnerships. We all know that partnerships exist already a long time. But nevertheless, there has been an evolution, and notably an evolution since the first partnerships that were launched under the previous framework programs and Horizon Europe. So maybe to answer quickly to your question, Mr. Falzetti, let me just recall the rationale that we have followed for partnerships under Horizon Europe, and it will give you also an idea of how we will also continue the implementation until the end of Horizon Europe. First of all, for partnerships, you may have seen it in other presentations. Here, the idea is really to work more on strategic partnerships under Horizon Europe through the long-term collaborations that we have put that are happening between the Union and the public and partners and private partners in order to tackle the challenges that those partnerships are supposed to take over through the implementation of joint research and innovation program. So what was important when we set up the partnerships for Horizon Europe, it was this strategic orientation where we want to have more directionality in the funding that we put on those partnerships in line with European priorities, European policy priorities. Then we also wanted to foster the critical mass that is created through partnerships. And for that, through this critical mass of resources, of funding, of research and innovation actions, we wanted to achieve a greater scale and impact with our partnerships. And then we wanted also to foster the ecosystems in which these partnerships are evolving, and also the links with other ecosystems that may also interact with those partnerships. So here we wanted to have an integrated value chain of and ecosystems in order also to be able to integrate some activities outside purely funding. So therefore, through this rationale that we used for Horizon Europe for the partnerships, we have identified 3 types of partnerships. You know them for sure, so I will not go into those details, but we wanted them to be more strategic. We wanted a simpler architecture for these partnerships, and we wanted also to have a selection of these partnerships based on common sets of criteria that have been identified through Horizon Europe for the entire life cycle of partnerships, which led us for this first part of Horizon Europe. It led us to an identification of 50 partnerships, which represent in total 26% of the total Horizon Europe budget committed to partnerships, with an estimated amount of more or less 25 billion euro, and also 39 billion euro estimated total commitment from the partners which are joining these partnerships. So here quite an important amount of funding that is dedicated under Horizon Europe for partnerships, but also from the partners which are joining and building these partnerships and implementing the programs, which means that there is also a leverage effect on those partnerships. And if you would like to have more details on this leverage effect that partnerships are bringing, I can also give more details later on in our discussion. But we have just last month issued the biannual monitoring report of the year 2024 of this year, which has been published and which shows through different figures the leverage effect of those partnerships, be it at the level of the co-funded partnerships, the co-program partnerships, or the institutional ones, plus also an indication in this biannual monitoring report of the additional activities that are also triggered beside the financial leverage of partnerships. So partnerships, if we address the second part of our Horizon Europe activities, where we have for the time being 50 partnerships running, we identified for the second part of Horizon Europe, we identified on the basis of those criteria and following the same rationale for partnerships, we identified 9 additional partnerships that will be implemented for the second part of the Horizon Europe Horizon Europe program. So partnerships for this remaining part of Horizon Europe will remain an important tool to structure and to federate research and innovation efforts, both at European level, but also at national level, and together with industry and with the public partners throughout the second half of Horizon Europe. The advantage of having the framework program divided into two strategic planning periods is that through this second strategic plan, so the years to come now until the end of Horizon Europe, we had the opportunity to review our partnerships portfolio, the 50 partnerships that are existing, that have been established during the first years, and to identify the strengths of those partnerships. As you said, Mr. Falzetti, a lot has happened, and there are many positive things to say about the partnerships and about their results and their impact, but there is still some room to improve some of the aspects of the implementation of partnerships, and we have used this opportunity of the second part of Horizon Europe and the second strategic plan to identify and fill the gap and also address maybe new policy priorities that have emerged in the meantime. So, for example, out of the 9 partnerships that have been newly identified, we will have 2 new partnerships under Cluster 2 of Horizon Europe, one specifically dedicated to SSH, a field in which we can all agree that it is important and that we could benefit from a federation of research and innovation efforts at European and also at national level, and which have not yet been covered by the partnerships portfolio so far. And a last example before I give back the floor. Another example would be that there are new candidates, like for instance on virtual worlds, which emerge as an important priority from the Conference of the Future of Europe, or the new candidate partnerships that will address raw materials, a key priority which has become increasingly important in the post-COVID and geopolitical context that Europe is currently finding itself. So this allowed us, as I said, to identify new partnerships to tackle new priorities, and also to develop those partnerships and to think about what can be done better also for the future on those partnerships. Those 9 new partnerships are currently being prepared, so we will have around 60 partnerships that will be implemented by the end of Horizon Europe. This is an important number, but we managed also to rationalize the number of partnerships from moving from Horizon 2020 120 partnerships to now the 50 plus 9 partnerships that we have. So this is what I believe will be done, this continuous continuous effort on partnerships for the second part of the Horizon Europe.
Thank you a lot, Fabienne. So, couple of points. The first is move to Marco, otherwise I have to call you or to refer to you to Madame Gautier. So please. And second point, clear message. Again, you just remind us that is about 1/4 of the program that is the budget Horizon is today managed through partnership. And on top of that, the leverage effect that partnership have in terms of budget. So it's really a huge amount of money that Hub today invest in particular specific area where there is a strategic needs for Europe to step forward. So before to arrive to the industrial reading of this important picture, because don't forget, clearly industry is a key player when we address partnership. Despite clearly every kind of constituency is welcome in partnerships, but industry is a particular role, probably a little less when we refer to the co-funded partnerships. But in principle, if there is a partnerships, there is a clear needs in terms of gap of competitiveness or risk to become not competitive in the future. So industry is a player. But before to arrive to the player, I would like to come back to our speakers from ministries, because at the end of the games, who is going to steer also the program is ministries that are acting together with the Commission to design the future. So I will start with Rachele. More, the Ministry of University Research, that is the chef de file of Horizon Europe, so it's in the first line for negotiating. Everything's happening, including partnerships, and you have an important role in the partnership in some partnership groups in Europe. So, what is your reading of the today time, in particular from the moving from the first part of Horizon Europe to the second part? What is your analysis on that?
Okay, it is not an analysis. It is more at a first glance insight to what happened in terms of evolution of the partnerships from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe. Indeed, as Fabienne pointed out also already, the main striking feature is the overall reorganization of the structure of the partnership landscape. We moved from a very scattered and fragmented landscape of over 120 maybe joint initiatives, public-public partnership, public-private partnerships, and so on, but not always strong enough to have an impact in terms of research and innovation, in terms of transferring of these results to the real world, to the industrial basis of Europe, because some of those were too small. So it is important, this effort that the Commission has started in preparation of Horizon Europe to streamline the overall landscape, because this is leading, it is a process, so it is ongoing, but this is leading to have a more cohesive and focused set of partnership. And it is important to, in order to better prioritize investments and to have a consistent portfolio. So this streamlining portfolio approach is really something that I would underline as a positive improvement in Horizon Europe. And of course, this allows also the member states to prioritize from their side national research and development to align the strategic to the strategic research and innovation agenda at the European level. And this in a way ensures that the resources are allocated more effectively, so not fragmenting here and there in the small aeronets. This was the typical public-to-public form of partnership in Horizon 2020. But simplification as well has to be recalled here. Of course, there's a lot to do more, but for example, the introduction of the single act for the Article 187 partnerships, it's institutionalized one. Of course, it is a very important step to have a common framework for all the partnerships that ensures clarity and also a common basis for operational for the public-private partnerships. We are still looking for the results, but the prospect or expected integration of the partnerships in the wider sense and their projects, so the projects we're going to fund in the partnerships in the EU metrics and dashboard, this will be very important because so far we have funded a number of projects in Horizon 2020, and we don't have them in the EU landscape. Just to be more specific, they are not recalled in the Cordis database, which is the repository of all EU-funded projects. And this is a pity because because ultimately we are contributing to this EU priority. So it is important that those projects are integrated in this dashboard and repositories, because it also allows member states to track progress, to share insights, and to have these metrics, and in order also to make some benchmarks with respect to other member states. Fabienne has recalled here the BMR, the biannual monitoring report, which is a very important instrument to have an overview and also to see what we're doing at the national level. It could be a good tool also to take inspiration and example in case we need to improve some procedures or things at the national level. What else I can underline as relevant and important from our point of view, it is this co-design of the partnership at the strategic level, as you were mentioning, Marco, of course, and it is the overall strategic programming, but it is not only the member set. Of course, we are there represented there as member set, but we have behind a whole community, a community of research, of innovators, of industry investing in research and innovation. So at that table, at that forum, we bring what are the expectations and the needs of our national community. So it is important that the partnerships are a way to introduce in the discussion, in the dialogue, in the co-design process also these various stakeholders. And in particular, the partnerships, I believe, this is our view, that they have proved to be quite an effective instrument to mobilize industry in participating to the research and innovation program. Article 187, of course, are an important example, but also in the Capo program that we see a very important participation of industry in research and innovation projects at different TRLs, of course, more focused on higher TRL than lower TRL. But it's important in order to create the connection from lab to fab. I'm mentioning a report inspiring Horizon Europe at the time. And this is something that we are pursuing at the national level, that is means, and we appreciate being reflected at the European level as well. And just not to take much of your time, in this very impressive landscape of improvements, I would like to point out some drawbacks, minor, but we still see a lot of administrative burden, in particular for some of the partnerships, like the co-funded one, which are supposed to be a joint venture with the Commission, and they are indeed, they are based on a long-term commitment, on a long-term planning, but at the end of the day, they are dealt with by the Commission as they were normal projects, and this creates as a lot of unbearable effort we need to put in the administrative part of the thing and not in the strategic part of the game. So this is something we are discussing with the Commission, in particular in the Partnership Knowledge Forum. So we appreciate the openness of the Commission to fix these issues together, because complexity, it is not only for the member state, the complexity affects also the Commission innovation and affects the impact of the partnerships as a whole. So we are working together, and we hope that for the next framework program, I'm afraid we have to reason in the perspective of the upcoming framework program number 10, and possibly we are looking for solutions. And yes, I believe this is all for this first round. Maybe continuing the discussion, some other insights can emerge. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Rachele. Yes, a lot of points on the table. First, I fully share with you the problem of a lot of administrative burden, how you said, in particular for the co-funded project, but you know quite well, because more is as the larger portfolio of in Italy as an institution of any other ministry, so you know quite well the game. But I appreciate a lot also the comments about, seems to be a minor comment, about the integration of, for example, co-funded project histories in the funding and tender portal, because this is a way to bring together and give evidence to important parts of the programs. And it seems to be minor, but I know that there are a lot of steps forward has been done in this area. Now, remaining on the point of a ministry point of view, again, Carlo, I repeat, partnerships is speaking about industry, or not industry, sorry, it's not completely correct, but industrial strategy. So, MIMIT is part of this game. Comment from you, from the current situation.
Good afternoon again to everybody. Thank you to all the speakers and the audience again. As MIMIT, we can for sure agree with Rachele, and we also want to thank you, Fabienne, for very important point that she stressed out. For instance, the first one is the need of reading the geopolitical issues that somehow are presenting us, because reading the geopolitical issues let us know where are we going, and this means also to enhance a very good and effective tech transfer for facing the chasing of futures, as I don't know if you get me the point. But the second one is administrative burden, because as MIMIT, what we sense and what we feel that is important, that is together to stay with us, the small business, the small enterprises. Small enterprises faces a lot troubles with administrative burdens, and they usually ask for helps outside their departments. So this is a cost but then we can discuss these points further during the table. Just for quickly answer, for not taking too much time to all of you, we think that the work done so far has been pretty good, especially in terms of communication. We experienced an interesting level of hype every time before each call. On the other side, sentinels could be also be done for improve or boost the effectiveness of Horizon. First of all, we think that it could be important to check whether there's room for an aggregate, let's say, financing to the project, given the fact that the small companies and startups pretty much never possess the right instruments and economic capacity to compete with the big ones, no? So if the state aid regulations allows an even participation by national funding agency, we think that this point should be something that the Horizon Europe partnership and member states should definitely check, apply and communicate it to the stakeholders. So it's like more transparencies, how enterprises could get also state aid or other forms of intervention and support. Moreover, on what about synergies? The synergies we think that are okay, but very often they are somewhat confusing, because this generates like an overlapping of similar topics between different partnerships. So it seems like companies grasp to find out where the convenience lies for applying to a call rather than another one. Just for setting out some points, for boosting the effectiveness, we think that it's important to enhance the stakeholder engagement, as we said. Also increasing the flexibility to face new challenges. So this links circularly to the reading of geopolitical issues. And moreover, also focus on impact measurements. So it's important to assess a robust metrics tools for reading the results, for leading to an effective tech transfers. I don't know if I make myself clear about this point, but also there is another topic that I think that is very important, also for my work, because I work in FDA also, so means that foreign direct investment. When an enterprise participate to these calls and get funds from European Union and results, sometimes we experiment that there is like an overtaking from a foreign company. So we also need to protect the investment and the development. This is very strictly related to effectiveness of the program. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Carlo. In particular, I thanks for the referring to the problem of coordination and synergies from partnerships to other parts of the program. This is a very relevant point that has been addressed recently, at least from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe. But my impression is that there is still something to do and can be improved. Not only, it's not a problem to avoid overlapping or duplication, is to use best the synergies that exist from different parts of the program. Now, again, we are going to close the first round about the current situation and what happened from Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe, and we move to the industrial speaker. Both came from companies that are fully involved in partnerships. So I know quite well your situation. So please, let's start from you, Cosimo. Staying on the time so we can have a rounds. Cosimo.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again for the opportunity to talk about this key topic related to European partnership. Very interesting points raised from the previous speakers. Because ST microelectronics is in the semiconductor and microelectronics industry. Hearing from Fabienne, I was entering in this sector in 1994. I was with the FP4, 1994-1995. So I know very well this industry. I know all the experience of my company also in the European partnerships, the institutionalized the partnership, in particular the current chips. European partnerships, and also the experience in 2010-2012 with the starting of the first European Institute of Technology kicks, AT Digital, and the ECT Labs, and the health care activities. So it's a very key point to develop the ecosystem. We need to create the different links, glue to keep together all the different players and actors around the value chain, keep all together the different actors. Microelectronics and electronics components are recognized more and more as a key enabling factor for downstream market applications. I like very much the 3 points from Fabienne, when Fabienne is talking about the strategic orientation, a large ecosystem, define a clear impact of activities and results. So this is the key role of the European partnerships. If we have a look to where this experience of the chips, JU, and the digital kick of the European Institute of Technology, clearly we recognize the role of and the actions about this. So we see with positive effect the action from FP9 to FP10, the new ideas also to reduce the number of partnership, but create more and more larger ecosystem and critical mass. Because we need, if we want to talk about technology sovereignty in Europe, if we want to improve technology, the horizontal approach to develop the key technologies and the key devices and components, we need really to join the effort and also work together, cooperate with the other industries, and also create the condition for a real impact in Europe and a very huge competition with other countries outside Europe. This is a key point, a key message, and the key experience also using this tool of the European partnership from my side.
Thank you, Cosimo. Let me listen, because I suppose that Lorenzo will be on your line. Lorenzo, so we can have a feedback after that.
Thank you very much, Marco, and thanks again for the invitation to this important panel. As you know, Leonardo has been involved since the beginning of the launch of the first institutional partnership, in particular in the aviation sector, since 2008. It was FP7, then we have continued being involved in the same partnership in Horizon 2020 and now in the current Horizon Europe. We have in particular contributed to the launch of Clean Sky 1 and Clean Sky 2, and now we are actively involved in the Clean Aviation program. And in the air traffic management side, we have been involved in the launch of CESAR 1, 2, and now in the 3. We have been, since the beginning, very strong supporter of the PPP approach, and in particular for 4 reasons. The first one is the bottom-up approach with the industry, together with all the stakeholders, research center, university, SME, in the program definition, which have been really a success factor. And the collaboration between all stakeholders has been the real strength of the PPP approach. As you were mentioning, Marco, yes, it's true. Industry has an important role in elaborating the vision and the technology roadmap, but without the participation of a research center, SMEs, and university, we will not be able to implement a complex project. Then a second aspect is the definition of a long-term and coordinated vision and research technology roadmap. Another point is the possibility to plan in advance and define a long-term strategy, avoiding the fragmentation of activities and projects, has been really a strong added value of in particular, the institutional partnership. And for the in particular in clean aviation, has been really a concrete example of synergy with regional funds, which is another asset that could be probably improved in the current program. And in view of, for the remaining part of the current Horizon Europe program, would perhaps support a better coordination and alignment with the collaborative research part. Industry needs to be active in all the tier level of research, and this coordination between collaborative research and PPP program probably could be improved. Now they are a little bit separate, not completely integrated. And in view of preparing the future programs, a better coordination and synergy should also be carried out with the other partnership, in premise between the 2 aviation ones, so Clean Aviation and CESAR, but we need also a better integration and coordination between the digital partnership and all the other ones, which are, for the time being, are a little bit separate and not coordinated. So these were my first thoughts, Marco.
Thank you, Lorenzo. So clear message. And now we start again from Fabienne. You have received several messages. I will stress again, because it was addressed also by Lorenzo in the last speech. Coordination synergies. He also mentioned regional dimension, but he mentioned about synergies between partnerships and synergies between partnerships and other part of Horizon. We already addressed several of us, so this is one point that should be on your agenda for the future. But now, coming back to the second round for all in the same approach, please feel free to give a comment if you have listened something important in the first round. So this is the time to do that. But I would like now to focus the second round on future. Yesterday we had yesterday and the day before the conference APRE started with the first days discussing about the future. You know, yesterday was presented the APRE report. There was the several important steps during these last weeks. The presentation of the drug report, the mission letter to the Commissioner for Startup Research and Innovation. So many important, probably too much inputs that are not still clear, but that's part of the job. We have time to go through this discussion, and APRE will be part of the discussion. But I would like to address to you now the future of partnerships. Today, we are not going to discuss about big picture of the R&I and competitiveness efforts in the future, but we still remain on the partnerships. So, what is the future of partnerships? You know, competitiveness is probably the keywords that would be on top of any other keywords for the definition of future. I'm not referring now to the FP10 because also I don't know if this is the right way to speak about the future, but certainly it will be a brilliant future as far as concern research, innovation, and competitiveness, because this has been agreed by all the papers that are today on the ground. So, what is your view of partnerships? How you translate in this complex picture where competitiveness remain the main important keywords? And as part of this round, I have another question that is part of this question, but I would like probably to address to our colleagues from industry. On what is the role in this important competitiveness scenario from the partnerships? And I'm referring mainly to the institutional partnership now and the IPCI. So what is your feeling? But you are free to answer to this second part of the question if you want, otherwise no problem. So please start again from Fabienne, and the round is... So, sorry, start with you.
Thank you. Indeed, looking into the future, and I would like also to thank the other speakers for their comments and their views on the partnerships so far, and also what could be improved. So, looking in terms of future actions, and maybe whether the partnerships, how we intend to we think about the partnerships for the future, notably to ensure the competitiveness of our systems. If we look at the experience that we get so far on partnerships, I mean, we can be confident that the European partnerships will remain an important instrument in the next multi-annual framework, financial framework in the future. And going back to the basics, and going back to what I mentioned also before, why we believe that these partnerships will remain an important instrument and why they are key, because the raison d'être, the main purpose of those partnerships is, as it was also highlighted before, is to give this strategic directionality to our funding and also to the alignment of a research and innovation agenda. And we have heard that also just before. In order for us, and also at European level and also at national level, to create this critical mass that we have, to foster the rich ecosystem of actors, we have also heard it from the views of the partnerships themselves today. And as such, we have and we will we believe that the partnerships will continue to play an important role in fostering Europe's competitiveness. If we look back on the 20 years of implementation of partnerships, we can also see that there have been a number of achievements that we can be proud of, and that we have also some very good examples of partnerships that have also shaped the ecosystems in Europe. However, and we have just mentioned and discussed it before, there are still some elements on which we need to work on. While it is true that, and it is also shown from the partnerships, that the partnerships, for instance, have built among Europe, among the research agenda, among the research actors, they have built for more transparency and openness with participation of end users and private sectors. They have strengthening the participation of less represented countries, of widening countries. We have fostered newcomers in the memberships of partnerships like SMEs and private entities. This is a very positive achievement of our partnerships. We talked about synergies through informal cooperation among the partners themselves in a partnership, be it strategic exchanges, dissemination, networking, and so on, but also throughout other European programs. Although, as it was mentioned before, there is still a way to go into building these partnerships. But we also could see that in line with the European priorities, those partnerships have contributed to the twin green and digital transition and Europe's resilience, and also the international positioning of those partnerships in Europe. So we believe that there are continuous improvements that are needed, but based on the successes so far and based also on what has been achieved, we believe that still we could try to capitalize on the lessons learned of this first generation of partnerships and look into the future, which means that we also need to take into account for the future some some building blocks for reflection as well. For instance, the type of partnerships. We have now 3 types of partnerships. Is it also something to be reflected upon? Is it reaching the impact and the leverage effect that we want? The selection of portfolios under the partnership, the key strategic areas in which they are building their collaborations. The implementation means this is also an extremely important aspect that we need to take into consideration, considering that here we are bringing different partners from different actors from different sectors, and also from different constituencies and legal systems and research and innovation landscape. So we need to tackle also the points of implementation that have been raised so far a few minutes ago, and that can also improve the implementation of those partnerships, and also look at the life cycle of a partnership. What becomes with a partnership when it has implemented its first strategic agenda or strategic priorities? How do we go further with those partnerships? What do they become with or without European funding and also other sources of funding that we have? So looking at the successes and looking also at the very good example that we have, we believe that partnerships are still key for the competitiveness of our systems, but we need also to look into what can be better improved and maybe look into the future of what we can do with the existing partnerships in order to ensure an evolution also of the partnerships landscape.
Thank you, Fabienne. Despite nobody can speak on behalf of the Commission, but at least a voice for a head of unit in charge of mission and partnerships, this positive message seems to be good. So and I share with you this view. I believe that partnerships will play an important role in our future. And thanks to have shared with you these words with us. Second point, I think that this is very interesting that you have designed a scenario that is really an open scenario. So you have highlighted several lines of discussion that can be addressed in the future. And I would like now to move to our colleagues and start again from Rachele, after that from Carlo. in particular, Rachele, as in this discussion representative of more, maybe that there is a lot to discuss in the future. So what is your view of evolution of partnerships probably in 6 months' times, or even but in few months' times, we are going to start the discussion for the future. What's your feeling about partnerships? What should be on the table to be discussed immediately?
Yes. Of course, I believe and I expect the partnerships to play a significant role also in the next framework program. In particular, it is a way to involve the stakeholders. This is, without any doubt, the major achievement of the partnerships. But there are some caveats to this wish, of course. I believe that we have to think very carefully what is the role of the member states as a funding agencies in particular. Although our ambition is to be able to support the research in all the disciplinary fields, in all the technology areas, it is indeed true that our budget for research and innovation are shrinking or may shrink along the time. We are talking of long-term commitments. So it is important to make a very strong and bold prioritization exercise with the Commission to identify those technology areas where the contribution of the member states will make the difference. Just to speak very, very frankly, just to give an example, now we are engaged as member states in two important institutionalized partnerships, Euro HPC and the CHIPS joint undertaking, because there is a need to mobilize all existing resources at the European level to compete at in the global arena, so to be able to face the competition with the USA or China or Asia. Here, national contribution makes the difference. We are, of course, pushed by our research communities to provide resources in all the fields, but in order to have directionality, first we have to define the real priorities, strategic priorities for Europe to ensure this technological sovereignty, the strategic autonomy, and all, this geopolitical related discussion we are having this time, due to the various crises we had to tackle in recent years. So it is important. At a different level, it is also important to position the partnerships in the TRL chain, to say so, and to identify exactly what the partnerships have to deliver in terms of research and innovation. For example, I see in the co-funded partnerships, which I know more because I'm involved in those, there are discussions to support research to TRL from 3 to 8, which is not possible. Resources are not enough. And it is important to identify what is the specific position, because there are other actors in the landscape. There are the joint undertakings, there are the IT kicks, there is the work program as a whole. So it is important to identify what is placed where in order not to create overlaps, not duplication, and ultimately not to invest effectively the scarce resources that we have. And just to conclude, of course, partnerships will be important. I have in the back of my head the Draghi kind of slap to Europe, which in a way invites Europe to be bolder in terms of research and innovation policy, to invest more, but to invest better. So this is the final words of my reasoning. Thanks.
Thank you, Rachele. Prioritizations remain the main words on the table from you, and I think this is realistic, because in any case we have to take consideration that in the next years maybe that we have to take some decision, and we will not have money for other things. This will be certainly the situation. Carlo, the same approach, but from a MIMIT point of view. What's your view about future?
Once again, I find myself on the same track of Rachele, probably because we are both from ministers, But I also want to add another point on the discussion about future, that is thinking more about a bottom-up line strategy. I will discuss it later in a few minutes, but I would like to start from a very general speaking that probably it was already discussed in these days during the week, but it's important. It also came from Draghi, so the Draghi report, that it's important for addressing the future to invest in research in something that could be a life-changing technology or life-changing discovery. No? So it's important also the role of the state in compliance with all the regulatory framework, the states and the European Commission, to support industries in the fields that this is possible to encounter, to meet market failures. But this is important because beyond the market failures, sometimes could be a very life-changing technology. So speaking of which, say that now I will stress my point about the bottom-up theory that is very important for our minister, because it's also linked to the reality of very small industries that are, as we know, characterize our country. So partnership might still be a good tool, but perhaps we think that they need to improve the engagement of stakeholders. So that's to say, they need to be involved more right from the decisional steps when deciding the topics to be the focus of the partnership. Furthermore, we think that transparency could be also transparency in accessibility to the documents. This is also something very important that is linked to the bottom-up theory, because we think that some very important, very key documents are not easily accessible for enterprises, for example, like grant and consortium agreements. And sometimes this causes a risk of misunderstanding on important principles. On an alternative mindset, a general initial survey could be issued by which the partnerships ask companies which direction has to be taken. So, and what precise facets of the industry research are suffering from lacking of attention. So this could also include proposal for a new alternative on Horizon Europe partnership. In short, maybe we sense that we are needing for a more democratic engagement and engaging process in the initial phase, a more bottom-up streaming line afterwards.
Thank you, Carlo. Sorry, I'm a little in a hurry, but because I would like to go the floor now to our industrial speakers. Start again from Cosimo. What's in the future? You are muted.
Sure, sorry for the macro. Thank you, very, very fast. Thank you again. The future. I believe that really the European partnership are the right tool. We need to continue to expand the strategic agenda and role of this kind of initiatives, create critical mass, gather more investment with a public-private approach. And it's clear that in the meantime, we need to work and play with the, easy rules, harmonization of procedure, different regulation at the Euro level, national level, regional level, also the aggregation of funding and resources really is a key for the industry. The industry needs always a clear frame in terms of strategic vision, the strategic rules, the key points to be addressed, and also the rules to play a game. Also, a different level of large companies, small and medium enterprise, and so on. If we want really to engage the total different value chain and the different steps of the value chain with the different players along the value chain, from really in the specific case of semiconductor components, from the equipment, the substrates, the material, up to the downstream when we bring the components in final application on automotive, healthcare, energy markets on behalf of users and European citizens. Really, we need a clear and easy frame to be referred to in terms of roles. And I like very much also the definition of co-design, because, for example, in the CHIP partnership, there is a clear idea of co-design of content, of strategic agenda. We have the three industrial associations, ENEAS, inside EPOS. There is a continuous dialogue with the public authority. There is the CHIP JU. This is the way to approach. And also the dialogue, continuous dialogue and positioning among the different European partnerships, because this is the way to create, to concentrate, to create the challenge, to integrate. Also because, for example, Marco is asking the positioning of the European partnership with the IPCI. Since the beginning, I am involved in the governance of the first and the second IPCI microelectronics. It's clear that microelectronics has an orthogonal role, enabling different solutions. For us, it's easiest to have a continuous discussion and dialogue with the actors that are in the CHIPS European partnership. I don't know, maybe in other European partnership like battery, hydrogen, I don't know, maybe it's different, but for us, it's a key to stay together, to talk together, to share ideas, because the content and the strategic approach is the same, because chips and IPCI microelectronics, the first and the second IPCI microelectronics and communication technologies are really the enabler of this cross-cutting on research innovation up to the first industrial deployment on behalf of Europe. Thank you.
Thank you. Quite clear. I'm going fast, but in any case, the message about harmonization of the overall landscape is a clear message from you. Lorenzo, now.
Thank you, Marco. For the future, what we believe is that we need probably an evolution, not really a revolution. An important aspect that I would like to point out is that aeronautica in general is characterized by very long research and development cycle, 20 to 30 years. So we also have to consider the specificities of some sectors. Then the sector must have the possibility to plan in advance research activities. Otherwise, it would be impossible to develop advanced and breakthrough product. Why we support the current approach on PPP? The strength of having institution on PPP are manifold. I already said the bottom-up approach and active participation of all the stakeholders in defining the research roadmap with full commitment of all the partners. Then we need a coordinated approach with the activities carried out at national level to the additional activities. This is another added value of this approach, and it was yesterday also mentioned by the APRE report, this coordination between national and EU program. With the PPP approach, we are also able to avoid fragmentation of project and program. We can concentrate effort and resource in strategic project, and then we are able to manage a very complex project in a long time span. Then I would like to underline two aspects that in view of the future problem could be taken into account for the future. The first is the need to ensure simplification, so not only in administrative terms, but also in view of streamlining the governance of the PPP and the number of the PPP, either institution than contractual. Even a big company like Leonardo may have difficulties in managing their presence in different PPP. So perhaps this streamline should be pursued. Launching contract and partnership with budget of 100 million risks to be not to be the best way to implement a research roadmap that probably could also be managed through the collaborative research. And then another aspect, so what could be considered is the possibility to reassess the general governance of the two aviation partnerships, so the Clean Aviation and CESAR, which have been launched 15 years ago. So now we need probably a more integrated and coordinated approach. So the question mark is, do we need to every time renegotiate the partnership, or are we going to have some kind of permanent structure in the future. And then perhaps a final word on the IPSEI that you mentioned, Marco. We believe that they are a good instrument to manage a very complex program, coordinated and financed at national level with a very ambitious budget. But the integration with the PPP probably would need a further assessment because they are complex both. So to integrate, I think we would need to assess this new approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Also from you, some clear statements. So many points to be noted. The time is over. Okay, but please, and I would like to ask our participant, our audience that is linked with us, to just wait another few minutes. I would like really 10 seconds of a message as a point to be stressed in the future about partnership. So can we start again from Fabienne? Is there a keywords or a couple of keywords that you want to keep on top of your agenda?
Thank you. I believe we are at a very important timing for partnerships. The discussions are still on the next framework program are still very preliminary, and we have not yet any consolidated Commission position on the next framework program. However, the timing is there, and a lot will also depend on the expected discussions and process on the next multi-annual framework, financial framework. The budget of the UNITAT will be clarified. And here, in that context, we will also know more in a few months about how it can also impact the evolution of our partnerships. So we have a lot that we learned from the partnerships, and a lot is still to be done. But clearly, so far, the role of the partnerships has been demonstrated in our framework program. So let's continue. And I also invite if the audience, if they would like to have to know more also about partnerships, we have a conference that is also the annual conference on partnerships that will be taking place early December. So future work to be done as well on partnerships.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachele, even faster, your keywords.
Yes, just a slogan then. I would say keep focused, keep strategic, and keep simple. And this way partnerships could work.
Thanks, very telegraphic, fantastic. Now, Carlo?
Yes, I'll try to be very telegraphic too. Effectiveness comes from low administrative burden, transparency, and more bottom-up and clear and very easy rules. A shared regulatory framework.
Clear. Just switch the two, otherwise Lorenzo will be the last. Start from Lorenzo. Your keywords, Lorenzo. Very short. Micro, Lorenzo.
Sorry, in 1 minute I have five proposals. So
just the title.
Yes, so we support a strong FP10 with a unified governance, so the continuity of the governance. Then for the partnership approach, we should try to streamline and prioritize the most relevant PPP. PPP should continue to play a key role in industrial research, but with simpler rules covering all the TRL level. A more integrated approach to aviation partnership. And then finally, we would welcome a better coordination and stronger synergy between clean aviation and CESA and also with the other PPP. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Now, Cosimo, the last word is for you.
Yeah, thank you. So, really, about the future, we need to continue with the same pace, the same effort to create synergy, to concentrate the effort, to have a common vision, also to learn by the best practice deriving from the performance reporting, the KPIs we are collecting by the different initiatives, just to avoid to reply and to restart from a new layer, a new activity, a new definition of different initiatives and so on. Really, we need to sit together to take the best of results arriving from the best activities we are reaching in the different European platforms. Thank you.
Thank you. So my side is now just to close the discussion. First, I want to thank you, all of you, for the excellent contribution to the discussion. Very, very few messages from my side is, first, in APRE, we believe a lot on the partnerships, and not only because they seems to work very, very effectively, but because as APRE, our role is to provide the best condition for you, not your five, but the people who are going to listen to participate. And to come back to the original Fabienne points, there is a lot of money, there is a lot of effort, there is a lot of opportunities for our, and it was properly stressed, is not only industry, is RTOs, is university together. So as an APRE director, I have to say, please don't forget that we have to go there to take the best according to the interests of our national strategies. Second point, APRE is doing a lot on partnerships. We have a so-called APRE project partnerships open, is a standalone open system, and we have many different activities, including what we call the informal forum of partnerships. But this is just to give you the idea that we are aware of important partnerships. It's a particular chapter, it's a particular not area, because it's a broad area spread all around the Horizon Europe, but it's an important dossier. And if you just look to the number of events that we have done in for the different partnerships during, for example, these years or the last years or the years before, it is an incredible increase on number of activity that we are going to do. That was not the case maybe 10 years ago. This is just to say we believe a lot to support partnerships, and we know that we have a lot to do to provide you all the best for participating, for having a qualified participation to partnerships in the future. So thanks again. I'm going to close, and I thank you all the people that are still with us in connection. I cannot close without sorry, I don't want to be wrong. Tomorrow there is the last day for this week of conference. So please don't forget, we start again at 10 o'clock, and tomorrow we will focus on unit cost, something's new from Commission. We start with a brief at 10 o'clock, and we will follow again with an APRE dialogue at 10:30 to discuss about unit costs. So stay tuned and see you tomorrow again. And thanks again to our speakers, and I'm going to close here. Thank you.